As we're going to get started today, welcome to our meditation practice, and thank you so much for joining me. Comfort is paramount, so make sure that you feel cozy in your clothing, you feel warm, and if you had something like a space heater, that it's facing you so you don't feel distracted by discomfort. When you head back to wherever you're meditating, if you're able to leave your desk, just know it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I use a rug, an old rug, with a couch cushion, and I sit that on top of my yoga mat. So as you're getting settled, even if you have to stay where you are, let's take a few movements so that we feel ready to sit for a while this morning together. Most importantly, stretching through our necks and elongating our spine. So let's take a big breath up with arms overhead. As much as you can stretch your arms up, take your eye gaze up towards your fingertips. And let's just stay here for 2 breaths. Shoulders are soft, elbows slightly bent, and fingers are wiggleable. We're going to take a big breath in and maybe do a little lifting side to side to stretch open in between our ribs, lifting our ribs from our hips and bringing length but not rigidity into our spines. One more big breath in. And then as you exhale, allow your fingers to fall down slowly, clasping your hands behind your low back. If you have space, stretch them out behind you like your knuckles are chasing the floor. And once again, take your eyes skywards. Try opening your throat. I hope that this sensation helps you feel like you could crack your chest open so wide that your heart would rise skywards, allowing the universe to kiss your soul. Take a big breath in. Wrap your knuckles around your left ribs, they're right over here, and then drop your ear towards your left shoulder. Now, if your neck feels pretty good, you may want to do a little bit of rocking and rolling with your chin down towards your collarbone and then back towards your left shoulder. Begin the process of softening through your facial features, especially the hinge of your jaw. Let's re-stretch out. Eye gaze comes back to me, and then we stretch knuckles behind us again. Take a big breath in. Wrap them around your right side. If it's not possible for you to take your ribs around, you can try to hold on to your fingers or your wrist rather than clasping. Once you've arrived, drop your right ear to your right shoulder, ensuring that we're staying lifted in our spines here as we tip through the neck, and possibly a little drop and rise through the chin, or maybe a little tick-tock, whatever feels really nice to stretch out the left side of your neck. Now, as we start to practice in a moment, remember that you don't have to stay still. If you feel uncomfortable and that's drawing you away from your practice, readjust, take as much time as you need, and come back to us when the time feels right. Eye gaze forward, sweeping arms back to the sky, big breath in. And let them fall softly down somewhere that feels comfy. In the morning, I love doing palms up because we may still feel a little sluggish, so we need some energy. If you've over-caffeinated and you're feeling a bit too much, you can press your palms down wherever they've landed for more grounding. Let's think about closing our eyes. These are like the windows to the world. So similarly that we would shut the shutters or the curtains at night, it's nice to block out stimulation, lights, textures. Personally, I don't love keeping my eyes totally shut. So my trick is to look down the bridge of my nose, right off the tip of my nose, and I take my gaze to a still, soft point on the ground. Closing eyes to little slits. That way everything that's within your sight becomes blurry and unfocused, so you can soften and come within. Find something that feels comfortable for you. Wherever you are, think about lifting from the back of your ears and the back of your shoulder blades so we feel very alive and awake in our chest. As you're getting settled, if you start to get really uncomfortable, you're welcome to lie, or you can back yourself up against the back of your chair or a wall for support. As you practice, your muscles along your spine will build up and you'll be able to sit for longer periods of time. Welcome, my friends, to your anxiety shedding, hopefully layer by layer, meditation today. I'd like to start you out with a quote, possibly thinking of it as a mantra or an affirmation. You are not your thoughts. Michael Singer, an author that I absolutely love, has a quote: "There is nothing more important to true growth than realizing that you are not the voice of the mind. You are the one who hears it." Now that means that we are the casual observer of our thoughts. I like to think of this like a computer screen. If there's a waterfall on the computer screen, we see the water, we may hear it, but the computer screen isn't getting wet. So we are able to see and process these things without actually realizing them, embodying them, or taking them in. The truth is that most of life will unfold in accordance with forces that are outside of our control, regardless of what our mind says about it. So our goal as we meditate is to be with what is, be in the present moment. We're trying to pull away from our planning minds, our rehashing minds, our thinking minds. And that's not to say that these will not arise. The moment we become still, they may arise more than ever. And most likely that will continue for as long as you practice. Our goal together will be to become aware of that happening and gently guide ourselves back to our breath and our meditation practice. Let's take a big, beautiful breath in. See if you can watch your breath, where it's moving through your body, where it may be rubbing up against a little bit of tension and may need a little extra TLC in that area. Or perhaps where you're really feeling your body respond to your breath, where it's rising or falling, lifting, lowering, inflating, and deflating. If it's hard for you to visualize this, I love to place a hand on heart and a hand on belly. See if you can really reach in to feel the warmth of your palms there. And on your next breath in, can you breathe so deeply that you notice your belly hand rising first, followed by a big expansion under your chest hand. And as you exhale slowly, even more slowly as possible, notice your belly hand softening, deflating, followed by your chest hand. You can hang on to this physical moment as long as you'd like, or if you feel like you're really in touch with how your breath is moving, feel free to relax your hands again, but that's a wonderful way to stay present. Let's continue breathing softly. Today's affirmation, "You are not your thoughts," may seem a bit strange to you, but I bring this statement to your consciousness today because so many of us are wrapped up in an endless loop of what is anxiety-provoking thoughts at all times. It's the tiniest little thoughts. Will I make it to my meeting on time? Will I live up to my boss's expectations? Did I leave the candle burning at home? But this endless loop is putting us in a spin cycle of anxiety. Maybe we don't recognize it, but it can be something as simple as causing our breath to be very short and shallow. It's not able to reach our stomachs. So if you weren't able to visualize or breathe into your belly hand yet this morning, let's make that our goal for today. Slow down enough and allow our breath to catch up with us. Little by little, baby steps on increasing the length, the consistency, and the quality of our breath. Let's keep in mind that as thoughts arise, we are not our pasts or our futures. We are here together in this present moment. There's nowhere else to be and nothing else to do. Our goal is to immerse ourselves in a pure state of awareness by feeling sensation as we watch our breath. There is no pain of the past or the future here. Rather, we aim to find an easiness, a softness, and most importantly, a quieting of our mind's fluctuations. Let's breathe in together again. Maybe feeling the soft palate in the top of your mouth rising, really feeling an inflation coming up through the crown of your head, a lifting, a lengthening, a softening, a brightening. Under your tongue, feel that bottom jaw getting heavy as you exhale, allowing all that tension to drip down your body off into your supports today. You may feel a steady sense of heaviness shifting down through your shoulders, your ribs, down into your seat. Let's together try to come to the realization that we do not have to acknowledge any or every thought that arises. These can just as easily pass right through our minds. We learn how to become present in the moment-to-moment experiences in our lives to allow our thoughts that are not serving us to pass right on through and out of our awareness. That way, instead of reacting, we take a moment to sit back, observe, ponder, breathe, and then respond accordingly to the situation at hand. Finding a genuine sense of compassion and awareness. The author I mentioned before, Michael Singer. Also, a quote from him: "Our mental dialogue never stops. It keeps going." How does it decide what to say? When to say it? How much turns out to be true? How much is important? And even if you're thinking, I'm not sure I have a mental dialogue as I say that, well, there it is. That's your mental dialogue. Usually, if we're paying attention, we have a pretty constant stream of mental dialogue going on. So it's our job to realize that we can put things on the back burner, per se. Come back to them later. Let's take a big, beautiful breath in, perhaps a bit longer than our first couple of breaths together. Can you notice a rising and expanding in your stomach area? And upon your release, a heavy quality settling in, a softness, perhaps a sense of ease. Now, if you've just realized that you may have a bit of anxiety in your life, or if you're well aware of the fact that you feel very anxious regularly, I want you to know that you are not alone. Awareness is where we begin. Noticing when our thoughts feel chaotic, or when we are drifting away from a conversation we are having, or continuously being distracted and pulled away from our tasks at hand. We all experience this, but our practice in meditation is to become aware of them, and we can be really proud of that step. The acknowledgement is so important. And then with practice, we're able to quickly guide ourselves back to the task, or while we are in meditation, to our breath. We all have overactive minds. So it may be important to distinguish what triggers our anxiety. Is it a certain type of event? These days, it could be something as simple as going out into public. And remember, you're not alone in these thoughts and feelings. They are real and valid. What triggers your anxiety? Is it a certain type of drink that we could easily avoid? Is it a certain type of day? Is it a certain time of day, a section of your day? It can be completely inexplicable as well, but a nice step in becoming aware of our triggers is to acknowledge when they're happening. Once we have this awareness, we are ready to transform. Be very proud of yourself today for carving out time in your busy schedule to practice a breath strategy. It may be difficult to commit to your meditation and your breath work, but living with anxiety and trying to deal with that every day is much more difficult. If we meditate, we can learn to live with ease. But on the flip side, if we continue to live with our stress and anxiety, we end up with dis-ease, which can lead to disease. Training our awareness. Where do we want it to be? In this very moment and with this very breath. Let's take a big, beautiful breath in together. Develop an attitude of acceptance with this big breath. And as you exhale, be patient. Be patient with yourself, kind and compassionate and non-judgmental. Sit with what is, knowing that as you practice, you are cultivating mindfulness. Let's make a promise to ourselves that we will prepare ourselves to sit with exactly how we are in this very moment. We aren't rejecting any thoughts or feelings. We're not following them. Accepting our current reality exactly as it is and preparing ourselves to skillfully move beyond any anxieties we are experiencing. Take a beautiful, soft breath in with as much ease in your facial features, forehead, in between brows, and all around your eyes as possible. Full, slower exhalation, softening down through cheekbones, lips, and jaw. Let's also try not to use a quick fix when anxieties run amok. So for example, something that a lot of us struggle with is turning to social media when you're feeling down about yourself. You're looking for a pick-me-up. Or possibly in your life, it could be a food you're turning to. It could be caffeine as a method of dealing. So once again, noticing what our triggers are, how we're triggered, and then noticing what we're turning to for a quick fix and seeing, are we able to shift that and move into breath work and meditative practice instead? Discovering your ability, it is within you to be present, to cultivate acceptance of your situation and awareness. An easy way to start is doing exactly what you did today, committing to small moments of stillness by disconnecting. Let's try a breath in together. A full exhalation. No matter how small your moment is that you can set aside time to become present, let's try little tiny techniques that will help us stay in the moment. For example, are you able to disable notifications or turn your cell phone off completely as you practice so you don't get constantly notified of a new message? Disconnecting from a device or your computer will allow you to reconnect to the moment, to yourself, and to the presence. Another little trick that I love is to schedule, even if it's just 2 minutes in between meetings, maybe one for a breath practice and one to prepare you. We could possibly set a timer or an alarm, and during certain parts of your day, you just pause for as many minutes as your schedule will allow. You can do the breath that we're about to practice together, or you could use an app, one that I love. You can find all different lengths of meditations, guided or just timed, is the Insight Timer. Really wonderful way to come in the moment. And this will enable you to create a huge ripple in your life. Not only do you feel better, but you become more compassionate and present with yourself and others, with the sounds, with life around you, and with everyone that you interact with. Life becomes infinitely better. The quality of your life is so much better when you are present. And listen, it's okay if you're going through life and you think, oh, I wasn't listening to my kids because I was still typing that email as they started talking to me. Or whatever your example may be, that you get upset with yourself. It's okay, because you've noticed, you're aware of the fact that you weren't fully present. So the awareness is where transformation can begin. You are ready. So congratulations on becoming aware. Be gentle with yourself all throughout this process. Healing, transformation, it all takes time. You will feel a softening when you're able to accept where you are and how you got here. But I do encourage you to embrace the journey. It's a beautiful one towards your optimal living. Little baby steps. We're going to dip our toes in by taking another really big, beautiful breath in together. And at the tip top, are you able to pause for just a second? Maybe sip in a little extra. Notice that sensation or moment of perfect stillness before you exhale, releasing completely. Pause again. Re-inhale when you're ready. So our breath practice for today, inhalation as slow, as soft, and as deep as you can make it, with a slight pause before you exhale. But as you pause, can you release your facial features? Sometimes we clench while we're holding that breath. So our work will be to soften as we pause. And then, if possible, your exhalation is just 1 second or more longer than your inhalation. So I would recommend starting with a 4-second inhalation, a pause for a second or two, and then a 5-second exhalation, a pause for a second or two. And I'll work through just one of those with you. If that feels too intense, make your seconds a little shorter so it feels really doable for you. And on the flip side, if it feels very comfortable, make it longer. Take a breath in and out together, any speed. I love a clearing breath with a good open mouth, sigh of exhalation. Next breath in, we try for 4, 3, 2, soft pause. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, soft pause. Re-inhale. Pause. Fully exhale. Gentle pause, softening our facial features. Breathing in, really slowly filling up. Pause. Full exhalation, even more slowly every attempt. Pause. Continue with this breath practice. Counting may be a wonderful way for you to stay present. And you'll notice as you're counting, you may feel like your mental dialogue is getting louder, softer. Faster, slower. Maybe you forget to count altogether, and all of that is okay. Try not to resist. When you drift away, very gently coming back to your breath, to your mantra, you are not your thoughts, and re-begin your counting. As we close our practice together today, please stay longer if you can. Please come back to your breath at least one more time today to practice, even if it's as you're drifting off to sleep. Join your hands at heart center or place one hand on top of the other over your heart. Take a moment of gratitude for committing to your self-care, your mental and your physical wellness. You are well on the path to your well-being. My divine light recognizes yours. And we say namaste together to close our practice, knowing that when we are in this space, we are one. My light honors yours, is inspired by yours, and is so grateful for the opportunity to practice with you. Namaste, my friends.